All right, guys, let's talk about the San Jose Sharks today. Um, yeah, let's face it, it was a pretty abysmal season last season from them. I remember, when they came off of back-to-back 10-goal losses, um, sorry, conceding 10 goals in games. Yeah, it was a season to forget for the San Jose Sharks. The only team in the NHL not to get more than, not to get into the 20 wins or above column with only the 19 wins and the 47 points for the season. So, one to forget, but it did get them the number one overall pick. That got them Celebrini. So, uh, you know, silver linings. But let's move on to the 2024-25 season projected lineups. Jaden will run through that for you.
Sure. So we got Eklund, Celebrini, projected first line. Toffoli there brought in also Will Smith, another draftee from first rounds in the lineup. Then you got Granlund, Grunstrom, Zetterlund, Wenberg, Cunnin, Goudreau, Couture, Delandria. Defense, Ferraro, oh my God, Ceci, Woolman, Vlasic, Thron, and Ruta. Goalies, All Star, New Jersey Devil reject goalies in regards to Blackwood and Vanacek. Then you got press box here, just Costin, Stern, and Benning, just for some depth there. Just to note, they probably have more depth in regards to more draft picks that they've had over the few years as well. There's some notable ones. If you're a San Jose fan, you probably already know the names. But this is just their current lineup of what's projected. So a few notable new ones there. Obviously, their first round draft picks and Celebrini and Smith. Hopefully they can come up against a team like a Chris Rock type team, and Will Smith can go ham. That's that's what I'm looking forward to.
Jesus Christ.
but
Couldn't help yourself, could you? Uh,
I've got to do it. I've got to do it. But like, they can celebrate. They have Celebrini. There we go. I'm here all day, guys. But
yeah.
yeah, look, future's really bright with this team. Look, they got a lot of team rejects, I would say, coming from other teams where like they've cycled through teams before, like Goudreau, Wenberg, and stuff. But they've just shored up. They're not there for too long. They're a little bit of veterancy as well. I like it. Helps out the younger players a bit, and then it can alleviate some of their growing pains if and when they do have them. Defense. It's still not great, but it's there. They've got the size, which is really good. So you can build something around that when you got size. And goaltending, honestly, I like the goaltending in regards to the gambles they made. They knew they were going to be bad. They went for the draft picks, and they got goaltenders that could have potential to just turn it on and become a 1A goaltender. They're not there at the moment, but both of them have shown glimpses that they can do it, and so that's what I like there. So everything here is about potential. You just got to realize that potential, and I like it. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, on top of that, you look at Vanacek, only what 2 seasons ago he took the Devils to the playoffs, had a monstrous season, and was being, basically praised for his efforts until he, ultimately collapsed in the playoffs. So 100% he could have a bounce back season, and whether or not um he stays at San Jose or they flip him for assets. Like this is the thing with both of these goaltenders. If Blackwood or Vanacek or even both of them have a really good season, all of a sudden you flip them for assets because they've just picked up Askarov, who is wanting NHL game time and he is going to be playing in the NHL at some point this season. The question is just going to be how many games. So I'm kind of expecting it to be a three-way sort of feat with these guys. I think Blackwood, Vanacek, and Askarov will sort of rotate through that goaltending. And the Sharks would just be really looking for Blackwood and Vanacek to put up some really good
Mm.
numbers so that they can just move them on at the deadline, or at worst, sign one of them to be the backup to Askarov, or have a 1A 1B sort of situation where if Askarov isn't quite up to it yet, at least they've got capable goaltending there. But outside of that, like I am really liking what they're doing. they've managed to get rid of all of the dead weight contracts. I mean, Thomas Heedle wasn't I wouldn't call him dead weight. He's a good player, but on this team, he just wasn't needed. He wasn't going to really be relevant anytime soon. And being able to flip him for assets. Um, they obviously got rid of Carlson as well last year. The Vlasic contract only has 2 years left on it. Logan Couture contract's only got 3 years left on it, and I don't really expect these guys to be contending for at least that period. So they've got this year, next year, potentially the year after to just really develop these young players. Like William Eklund only just had his first season in the NHL last season, puts up 45 points in his first season in 80 games. That's impressive. The minus 45 is ugly, but young player can work on it. But introduce Celebrini, Will Smith. There's massive raps on that kid as well. So it'll be interesting to see how they break into the NHL. Fabian Zetterlund had an absolute fantastic season last season when he jumped on board for them. So you know, hopefully he can take that next level again and maybe even get 30 goals. But it's really just all development for these guys, and they've still got some ways to go. But I'm liking what they're doing, and I'm liking what we're seeing from them. And I think they're really sort of filling that prospect pool up as well. They've got Shakir Mukhamadullin, who came in that Timo Meyer trade. He should hopefully come through at some stage this season as well. He played a couple of games at the end of last season, and they got a couple other sort of juniors, which I'm not sure if they'll play. They picked up Sam Dickinson in last season's draft as well. I don't think he'll play, but their draft pools just prospect pools just looking insane right now, and I like the direction they're headed. I love the fact that because I think what last season, maybe the season before, we were talking about how where do you go from here as San Jose, and they've turned it around really, really well. They
Yeah,
managed to
that's
get
what
rid of
happens when
all
you
of
get
those
first overall
contracts.
pick, right? It fast tracks everything.
Well, 100%. But the thing is that the thing we spoke about was Carlson. They're going to have to trade Timo Meyer, obviously. Um, Logan Couture's contract, Hurdle's contract. Um, uh, Vlasic's contract. Like all of these old players earn $8 million or whatever it was, and we're sitting there going, "How do you head in the right direction with these players? Like, what are you going to do?" They got rid of Carlson for with basically nothing, like $1.5 million retained. When people were talking, they're going to have to retain half of his salary. Um, Hurdle only was what $1.3 million, which is a lot because it's for 6 years, but still, like it's not like that's pretty good. Got rid of something for assets. Got rid of Meyer for some really good assets. The only two left are Couture and Vlasic, but you can either flip them late because their contracts are sort of only 2 years. Like I know Vlasic, if not this year, next year, you flip him at the deadline, you eat half his contract. You're only wearing that to the end of the season. So I just feel like the management of San Jose has done really, really well um, from where they were to right now. I feel like there's some big things going on. Obviously, getting the number one pick in Celebrini is going to fast track things, but I just think that overall they have done such a good job, and I'm interested to watch their development. I still think that they're going to be garbage and they're going to be probably bottom three again this season, but that's not the point of this season. The point of this season is that developmental stage and what Celebrini and Smith and Eklund can sort of do, and what management can do to sort of add more assets to this growing team. And yeah, for me right now, I think they're on the right track.
Yeah, I think the addition of Toffoli is a smart one, where you get a prolific goal scorer that can side along Celebrini, or even on the same line as a Will Smith. Help get them that point production. It helps get confidence, and then it helps produce. So I think it was kind of smart there in a sense for San Jose. They have struggled with goals in the past as well. So getting a prolific goal scorer, especially like power play as well, it helps tremendously. Signed for 4 years, and look, it might not get you into the playoffs in the next year or two. Depending how some of these players develop and how quickly they develop. But I still think it's a smart signing for their development, and I think that's what they've done there. In regards to a few of their additions, it's more about developing the young kids, and then
Hmm.
they'll build around those kids later on. Um, yeah,
100%.
I think it's just their defense. That's the one they've got to focus on now in regards to patching up here and there
Yep.
to get that ready for the next stage. Um, like the Vlasic contract still there, and I feel like you could clean up a little bit more here and there in regards to some uh, bad defensive work that happens. So, like you're looking at like a Ferraro with a negative 38. It's it's
Oh,
not
look, they
pretty.
were all bad. They were
They're
all
all bad,
very
but
bad.
it doesn't look pretty when players have negative 45, negative 34, etc. So
No.
that's where it's going to get shored up. And I feel like as a manager, I'd be looking at D. Who can I add that is in their 20s, that's ready to be in the Celebrini, Will Smith, Eklund era, and and then basically poaching any goalie if anything happens. Granted, Blackwood, Vanacek don't work out. I don't think both of them will, so I feel like you'll have to replace at least one of them. And I'm not sure how the goalie market's going to work for them in that favor.
Well, that's where I think Ascarov's going to come in.
Mm.
If either Blackwood or Vanacek just shit the bed, Askarov should come in and probably end up playing more games than maybe San Jose would want. But that's what he wanted. That was the whole reason he asked for the trade out of Nashville because he didn't feel like he was going to get enough game time behind Saros. So I feel like even if Blackwood or Banachek shit the bed, it would be okay because their young goalie is going to get some game time. Although,
Well,
do
Blackwood
you
likes to
really
injure
want
himself,
him?
so I feel like he's
Yeah,
guaranteed game time.
yeah. Do you really want your young goalie getting absolutely lit up? Game in, game out. I don't know, but look, they've got a very interesting prospect pool in terms of some defenders, as I said. Mukamadul, and I would be very surprised if he doesn't come up. There's been some really good high praises about the kid, so I'm interested to see how he goes. Maybe on a longer stint. I don't really know if maybe they want to give him another year, but for me, he's 22. I just feel like surely he can take one of those guys' roster spots at this point. I mean, for Christ's sakes, they got Cody CC on their lineup. I feel like you could probably give a kid like him a go. Sam Dickinson is going to be, you know, from the looks of it, he is going to be one special player as well. I just don't think they're gonna even I don't even think they're going to consider him this season. I think he'll go off this season and maybe even next season. But that's probably a top line defenseman at some point. So I feel like they're there. They probably just need another you know, draft or two to draft another top pair defenseman and just sort of develop and see where they go. Again, I like I said before, I think they're 3 years away. The next 3 years is just going to be purely development of your young players, getting as many prospects as you can in, and then getting rid of all the remaining shit contracts that you have, and then at that 3 year mark, bang, you probably have to pay Celebrini, Eklund, Will Smith, and anyone else that comes on board. But at that point, you have all of your cap space back, no bad contracts, and then you just go bang, get a couple of free agents in and hit the ground running. Askarov will hopefully, be their full time goaltender by that stage as well. So yeah, I'm very hopeful for this team. Unfortunately, it's not going to be a quick fix, and tomorrow they're in the playoffs. But I think you should be excited as a San Jose Sharks fan just to watch the development of these young kids over the next season or two,
Mm.
because for me it's gonna come, and I think you will see San Jose contending for a cup again in 3, 4, 5 years time. It's not going to be immediate, but it will come with what
Yeah.
this
Look,
management's doing.
I think they'll have a similar season to Chicago in regards to how they went last season, their points and whatnot. So I think there will be an improvement. I'm probably looking at a 15-point improvement or something like that, but it's still a long way to go because of how
Mm,
far they dropped off. So I'm not expecting a horrible, horrible season like they did. I probably maybe don't even expect them to finish last. Granted, uh, defense works out and goalies work out. That's it. I don't
mm,
really care about the forwards. It's got to be the defense and the goalies that work out. Granted, I know forwards play D, but that is my big key there. In regards to them, at least not finishing last. I know you want the draft picks, but sometimes it's a little bit better to get
but
a
even
few extra wins just for confidence for the young
oh,
kids.
100%. But even a 15-point improvement on last season has them third to last
Yeah,
still,
that's what I'm
and
saying.
you're still going to
I'm
get a
saying
top
like
three
I'm
pick.
I'm saying like probably 26 to 32 is where their range
Yeah,
is.
because you're still going to get a really good pick.
Mm,
And I mean, you might even win the lotto, like the draft
yeah,
lotto as well. So, um, yeah, and you're right, because if they can put up 26 wins this year, they look at that and go, well, that's 7 more than we won last year. Maybe instead of being minus 150 in goal difference, they're minus 100 or they're under 100, and they can look at it and go, it wasn't a great season, but geez, there's a lot to be proud of. Maybe Eklund hit 60 points. Maybe Celebrini had a really good season. Smith had a really good season. Askarov came and hit the ground running. They put Mookie Dolan in the lineup. Tyler Toffoli scored 30 goals for them. Like that's the sort of positivity I think you've got to just look out for these guys. I don't think you can look at this team any other way. I don't think you can
mm.
expect them to, win 30 games. You've just got to enjoy what you're seeing and just enjoy seeing the young players play well and learn and develop.
And stand up for the young kids.
Mm,
Last thing you want is some injuries on the young kids from getting beaten around.
exactly.
Because they're still under 200 pounds, all
Exactly.
three of them.
Well,
So
I guess who's your player to watch for this team? There's a lot to choose from, to be honest
yeah,
with you.
honestly, I haven't really thought about it too much. I'll give you your first one because I actually got to think about it a little bit more.
You got to think about it a little
I've
bit
thought
more.
of one, but I'm not 100% sure I want to go with that one yet.
Okay, cool. My one is going to be one of the young boys, but it's not one of the new boys. It's William Eklund. I I really like this guy for a little while. I actually thought he was gonna break out and hit the ground running, not last season, but the season before, and he didn't. He only played the 8 games, and it just didn't happen for him. So when he played all of last season, I was really impressed. I liked it. There's a lot still to work on for him. That minus 45 looks horrible, but I got big props on this kid, and I really want to see him come out and put up 60 points. I don't need him to be a point a game player. I just would love to see him get 20 plus goals, 60 points, and just improve on what he put out on the ice last season. I think he can do it.
Hmm.
Um,
I think he needs to improve on
I've got
defense.
wraps.
He does laps there.
Yeah, he
So
does, but
even if he had 45-point season, if he moved that negative 45 to a negative 10, I think
yeah,
that's the same difference.
massive props, massive props. Yeah,
Yeah, because he does have a few gaping holes in his defense there. Um,
yeah.
yeah, look, the one I keep coming back to in regards to player to watch is honestly you got Celebrini and whatnot. They're obviously players to watch, but the one not going for him is honestly I'm gonna go with Toffoli. I
Hmm.
want to see. because he's going to be the go-to man in regards to scoring on this team. I could see him cracking 40. He'll probably be on
Mm.
every power play, first line. He'll be the go-to man, popping it in. So I think he could do that, but I also want to see how his leadership works with the young kids. If he provides anything there, because that's why you do bring on these 30 plus age old players, is to provide cover for your young kids and then leadership. And I just want to see if he's able to provide that, and if he can crack that 40 goals that I reckon he has a good chance of doing, especially if he stays healthy. Um, I think that's his big key. He stayed healthy pretty much the last 2 seasons. That's really good, and I feel like that can continue. And he's been pretty close to 40. He's had a 34 goal season before, and I feel like he could crack it. Granted, he might be a negative 40 in goal differential.
He might be.
Especially if it all comes on the power play. But I reckon
Yeah.
your goals. I reckon you could see a 40 goal player there.
Well, it's funny you say that because I watched a little bit of the Golden Knights Sharks preseason game a couple of days ago, and they were 3-0 down, and Celebrini power play goal. A minute later, Tyler Toffoli power play goal, and all of a sudden they were back in the game. They lost overall, but it was just two really good power play goals. One from the young lad, obviously, and then one from Toffoli. So yeah, I think you're right on that. That power play with Celebrini, it's going to be a lot more potent than what it was last season. And when you have Tyler Toffoli rocketing them in, and players like Celebrini in that sort of dishing them out, yeah, I could 100% see Toffoli hitting 40 as well. So I think that's a big call from you. 40 goals on a team that barely got 40 points for the season. Um, but I could definitely see it happening.
I reckon he does it. Like at least high 30s. Uh,
All right, big call. Come
depending
back
on
to this.
injuries, obviously. Um, but yeah, all right. I guess we'll leave it there. So don't forget to like the video, comment below on what you think of the San Jose and their future, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more content. But till next time, we'll catch you guys.
See you guys.